This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Monday, the 24th day of January in the year 2022. I'm Gordon Mosley, and here's what we're tracking tonight. 8 opposition members of parliament, including Chief Whip Christopher Jones, have been referred to the National Assembly's Committee of Privileges over the 29th of December protest that erupted in the House over that Natural Resource Fund bill. It was during that protest that the Assembly's mace was snatched from its position by an opposition MP amidst a loud protest. In presenting the motion to refer the opposition members to the Privileges Committee, Government Chief Whip and Minister of Governance Gil Teixeira reflected on the protests and chaos that erupted in the National Assembly on the night of December 29th. She said it all took place before the media and on live video stream, so the events were witnessed by a local and international audience.
Members of the afternoon AFC coalition conducted themselves in a grossly disorderly, contumacious, and disrespectful manner, and in particular repeatedly disregarded, disrespected, and ignored the authority of the Assembly and that of the Speaker, thereby committing contempt and breaches of privilege.
The 8 opposition members being referred to the Privileges Committee are Chief Whip Christopher Jones, Ganesh Mahipal, Sherrod Duncan, Maureen Philadelphia, Vince Roy Jordan, Natasha Singh Lewis, Tabitha Sarabo Halley, and Annette Ferguson.
The Honourable Christopher Jones, MP, Opposition Chief Whip, the Honourable Ganesh Mahipal, the Honourable Sherrod Duncan, the Honourable Natasha Singh Lewis, the Honourable Annette Ferguson, the Honourable Vince Roy Jordan, the Honourable Tabitha Sarabo Halley, the Honourable Maureen Philadelphia.
Mr. Teixeira named opposition MPs Annette Ferguson and Vince Roy Jordan for an additional referral over the snatching of the Assembly's mace and its removal from the Assembly. Opposition MP Tabitha Sarabo Halley was also cited by Teixeira for reportedly entering one of the technical rooms at the Arthur Chung Convention Center where the National Assembly sits and attempting to remove cables and internet connections. According to the government member of parliament, by their actions, the opposition members were attempting to prevent the reading of the Natural Resource Fund bill.
The House is reminded that the rules of order, Standing Order 47(1) to 10, sets out the authority of the Speaker in dealing with gross and grave disorder in the National Assembly and procedures therein. And whereas as the named members brought the image of the National Assembly of Guyana into disrepute at a level never witnessed in this House before, and set a shameful example by elected representatives to the public and particularly the young generation, be it resolved that this National Assembly expresses the unwavering abhorrence of such gross disorderly conduct, contempt, and breaches of privilege which took place on December 29, 2021. Be it further resolved that this National Assembly commits the following 8 named members to the Committee of Privilege in accordance with Standing Order 32.
The Speaker, in response to the motion, was promptly placed, and the 8 opposition members have therefore been referred to the Committee of Privileges. Teixeira is hoping that the Privileges Committee could wrap up its probe and make a report to the Assembly within 1 month. The Committee of Privileges is made up of 4 government members, 4 opposition members, and is chaired by the Speaker. The opposition has also filed a motion of its own against government members over the same controversial sitting, requesting that 23 government MPs be referred to the same Committee of Privileges. The Speaker said when the Assembly received the opposition's motion, it appeared to have been sent in the form of a press release. He said it was brought to the attention of the opposition's Chief Whip and later resubmitted. Speaker Mansour Nadir explained that since then he has not had the time to study the motion and its contents, but intends to do so in an expeditious manner. Opposition Chief Whip Christopher Jones told the Speaker and the Assembly that the motion and the press release were sent in 2 separate emails, and he has the evidence in his email to support that contention. The Speaker said Jones should take up that with the parliamentary staff as he moved on to the rest of the Assembly's business this afternoon. The opposition MPs have also filed a motion of no confidence in the Speaker, Mansour Nadir, accusing him of clear bias in the Assembly. The Speaker said that motion against him was properly filed and will therefore go through the stages to be presented to the House. More on that story later on. Stay with us.
What is fiber? Think exceptional. GTT Fiber is an advanced high-speed internet product that delivers broadband via fiber optic cables with download speeds of up to 150 megabits per second. It means your internet is faster, and GTT Fiber comes with the added coverage of our Plume HomePass Wi-Fi system. Plume extends your Wi-Fi signal to ensure that you have the best experience in every corner of your home with Wi-Fi everywhere. Upgrade to GTT Fiber today and don't get left behind tomorrow.
Guyana's 2022 International Energy Conference and Expo, under the theme Charting a Sustainable Energy Future, will be hosted at the Guyana Marriott from the 15th to the 18th of February 2022. Meet and engage with energy leaders from around the world. The conference will feature addresses from His Excellency President Irfan Ali, His Excellency Vice President Bharat Jagdeo, Honorable Prime Minister Mark Phillips, His Excellency Chandrika Prasad Santoki, Honorable Prime Minister Mia Motley, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, and many other highly esteemed speakers. Charting a Sustainable Energy Future, Guyana's 2022 International Energy Conference and Expo.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true, or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Mobile Dalvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobile Dalvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc.
Mom, what are you doing with GPL on your list?
Child, you forgot I have to pay GPL?
You got time with GPL.
I have to keep these lights on. The customers who think in that manner and refuse to honor their obligation to GPL are obviously not playing their part in ensuring quality service delivery. So, I will continue to pay my GPL bill on time, every time.
I recognize the value of your point, Mom. You were right.
We've got exciting news! All 12-ounce yellow cab Buster are now only $100. Buster, live in
Come
full
get
color.
your Buster, Buster $100. Come get your Buster, Buster $100.
Welcome back. Former President and former leader of the People's National Congress Reform, David Granger, is expected to step down as chairman of a Partnership for National Unity by the end of this week. Mr. Granger today met with APNU General Secretary Joe Harmon and the leader of the Alliance for Change, Kemraj Ramjatan, where he conveyed his intention to step down as the chairman of the APNU, since he's no longer the leader of the People's National Congress Reform. The PNC is the largest party in the APNU-AFC coalition. News source understands that during the meeting, Mr. Granger also sought assurances from the Alliance for Change that the party will maintain the Cummings-Berger Accord in its current form after his departure. The accord sets out governance and other issues and structures on how the coalition should function in and out of government. It also stipulates that the coalition's presidential candidate shall be the representative of the candidates list, and the prime ministerial candidate shall be the deputy representative of the list. Mr. Granger is expected to meet with the parties that make up the APNU this week as he prepares to move on from the position of chairman of the grouping. The PNC Reform's Central Executive Committee recently agreed for its leader Aubrey Norton to be made chairman of the APNU and representative of the list, as well as member of parliament and ultimately the leader of the opposition. it is not clear if there are provisions for the representative of the list to be changed after elections. Mr. Granger has not indicated any intention to give up that position. If he resigns as the representative of the list, it would mean that Mr. Kemraj Ramjatan of the AFC will move up to the position, since he is the current deputy representative. In the 2015 election, the two sides had agreed to an outside person to serve as list representative. But that was changed as the accord that gave birth to the APNU-FC coalition was updated for the 2020 elections. PNC leader Aubrey Norton has been meeting with opposition leader Joe Harmon on the issue of Norton being made a member of parliament and voted in as opposition leader. The former PNC leader David Granger has told close party associates that he believes those negotiations should wrap up soon, and he will begin to meet with Norton on other issues related to the party and its parliamentary representatives. Back to the National Assembly right now. The opposition APNU-AFC has filed a motion of no confidence against the Speaker of the National Assembly, Mansour Nadir. In the motion, which was released to the press last evening ahead of today's parliamentary sitting, the opposition said the actions of the Speaker on the 29th of December, when there were loud protests by the opposition, and before that date, have demonstrated partiality and has brought the office of the Speaker into disrepute and public ridicule. The coalition said the Speaker has routinely shown bias against the opposition and its members. The opposition pointed to several occasions when its attempts to get urgent public matters discussed by the Assembly were shut down by the Speaker. They also point to being locked out of the Assembly during the President's visit and other instances that they believe show the clear bias of the Speaker. As we told you earlier, the opposition has also filed a motion to refer several members of the government side to the Privileges Committee of the National Assembly. The move by the opposition to file the two motions comes as a number of opposition members are likely to face disciplinary action of their own over that December protest that became chaotic and culminated with an opposition MP grabbing the mace of the Assembly. 8 opposition members were today referred to the Privileges Committee, as we told you earlier. The opposition was severely condemned by the government and other groups for that behavior in the National Assembly. Let's tell you now that Senior Minister of Finance Dr. Ashni Singh has indicated that this year's national budget will be historic and transformational. The national budget is set to be presented in the National Assembly on Wednesday, and already the Finance Minister is boasting of what the budget sets out to achieve. While not going into specifics, Dr. Singh disclosed on a state TV program that several major projects are catered for in the budget.
Budget 2022 is going to step up the pace with respect to rolling out this government's agenda for transformation, and so you're going to see a number of major initiatives being launched, I guess would be the best word, or being initiated in 2022.
Dr. Singh also said the budget, for the most part, will see the launching of major projects that were set out in the government's manifesto, and which were later articulated by the President during his inauguration and subsequent address to the National Assembly.
The agenda to modernize the face of our country with respect to things like physical infrastructure, a lot of that is going to be happening in 2022. So the theme of transformation and modernization of Guyana is very deeply and heavily embedded in Budget 2022. There's going to be a lot of that. It's very transformational in that regard.
Another strong element of the budget, the Finance Minister said, will be about creating opportunities for both Guyanese businesses and Guyanese nationals.
Creation of opportunity, both business opportunities and also employment and entrepreneurial and employment opportunities would be a very strong, there's a very strong emphasis on creating opportunities for Guyanese businesses and Guyanese nationals, particularly from the standpoint of like I said, job creation.
Dr. Singh said one theme of the budget will be focused on how the lives of Guyanese could be improved. Wednesday's budget presentation will be the third budget of the Irfan Ali administration. It is being presented at a time when the COVID-19 pandemic in Guyana and the cost of living are both on the rise. Still with financial matters and the budget, acknowledging that the cost of living has gone up and there were challenges as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, Vice President Barrett Jagdeo indicated that Guyana has fared well during the pandemic despite the circumstances. During a state media interview, Mr. Jagdeo said the people of Guyana are now paying fewer taxes and have more money at their disposal to weather the storm. He said the government has also been able to generate more jobs since coming into office.
Do we have greater disposable income today than in that period? The answer is yes. Are people paying less taxes now than they were paying on August 2nd, 2020? The answer is yes. $40 billion less per year in taxes.
But the government has not increased the income tax threshold since taking office, and in the past 2 years, public servants only got a 7% increase in their salaries, much to their disappointment and the disappointment of their union. Jagdeo said because of the prolonged period of the pandemic, there were also some setbacks, pointing to a global shortage of food and supplies, which he claimed has now trickled down to the Guyanese economy and has impacted the cost of living.
So we've had a large number of successful areas, but we've had setbacks too.
According to the Vice President, the government is cognizant of the impact of the pandemic on the economy, and the decision was taken to reopen the economy in order to bring stability.
Look at those countries that have gone into major economic slumps because of COVID. We did not. We managed to get more people working.
Vice President Jagdeo noted that persons can expect further tax relief measures in this year's national budget, which will be presented to the National Assembly on Wednesday. Let's tell you now that almost 18,000 persons have tested positive for COVID-19 since the start of January, representing the highest number of infections recorded since the pandemic came to Guyana in a single month. The country has also recorded 83 deaths since the start of this month, with 27 of those deaths confirmed in the past 3 days alone. The continuing spread of the virus across the country has triggered calls for the government to put systems in place to stem the spread. Over the weekend, political party A New and United Guyana urged the government to implement new measures to address the spread of COVID-19 cases. The party noted that while there has been no rapid increase in deaths, the increase in hospitalizations and spread remains a cause for concern. The main opposition, APNU-AFC, has also been calling for stricter measures for several weeks as the caseload continues to climb. The opposition has also roasted the government for restricting PCR testing at government health institutions, saying that move could result in a greater spread and people being unaware of their true status. The government has not reacted to the calls by the opposition parties. As the rest of the world forges ahead with the use of gene sequencing medical technology, Guyana is expected to conduct its first gene sequencing test at the end of this week. The historic move was announced by Minister of Health Dr. Frank Anthony during the opening session today of the Molecular Surveillance of Malaria 5-day workshop, hosted by the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health and sponsored by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. At the event, Minister Anthony pointed out that over the years, Guyana has been on the back foot when it comes to the technology that has made many breakthroughs and solved many problems across the world when it comes to various illnesses.
So, as you heard, by the end of this week, we intend to make some history here, and that is to be able to do the first set of sequencing right here in Guyana. And I think that would be a big accomplishment.
Gene sequencing technology has been making several breakthroughs in terms of understanding how diseases or viruses function. With COVID-19, scientists were able to track the movement of the virus and its reaction to treatment. This type of technology also saw the detection of the new variants of the virus. When it comes to dealing with malaria, Guyana continues to struggle in the area of medication resistance, in which a virus continues to evolve and resist older medications, leaving patients vulnerable to becoming severely sick and in some cases dying. The health minister said capacity is now being examined to address that issue.
This project, again, would help us, as you would have heard, to build capacity. And that capacity really is to move us from where we are right now in terms of testing to be able to use these newer technologies to do sequencing and to have a better understanding and appreciation of both the parasite and the vector.
Over the next 5 days, participants from various departments of the Ministry of Health, especially the Vector Control Department, will be focusing on how to get the information and tackle the areas that should be reached to eliminate the malaria illness.
We are going to have in this workshop, we've kind of separated it into a lab aspect and an epidemiology and data analytics aspect. And we really believe that these two foundations can help not only the malaria program, but also other vector-borne diseases and other infections, including COVID. So I think the hopes for us is that we can start to move in a direction where we can incorporate research into operational activities.
Professor Caroline Buckley, she is one of the facilitators at the workshop. With participants set to have 5 full days of capacity building through knowledge sharing, the workshop is also looking at ways to fight off malaria. Mobile Special and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobile Special and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc.
Guyana's 2022 International Energy Conference and Expo under the theme Charting a Sustainable Energy Future will be hosted at the Guyana Marriott from the 15th to the 18th of February 2022. Meet and engage with energy leaders from around the world. The conference will feature addresses from His Excellency President Irfan Ali, His Excellency Vice President Bharat Jagdeo, Honorable Prime Minister Mark Phillips, His Excellency Chandrika Prasad Santoki, Honorable Prime Minister Mia Motley, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, and many other highly esteemed speakers. Charting a Sustainable Energy Future, Guyana's 2022 International Energy Conference and Expo.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Exciting news! All 12-ounce yellow cab Buster are now only $100. Buster, live in
Come
full
get
color.
your Buster, Buster $100. Come get your Buster, Buster $100.
How fast is fiber? Think fast. GTT Fiber has 3 packages with download speeds of 50, 100, and 150 megabits per second. That's fast enough to stream movies and music, to chat with Gran and Fran, to study, and more. What would you do? Upgrade to GTT Fiber today and don't get left behind tomorrow.
Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Protect your fuel system, boy. High mileage and performance, boy.
Guy Oil's Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guy Oil's Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive.
Across the region tonight, Haiti was struck by a 5.3 magnitude earthquake and a series of smaller tremors today that killed 1 person and led panicked residents of the country to flood into the streets. The U.S. Geological Survey reported that the first quake hit an area near the city of Les Cayes and was followed by tremors of 4.4 and 5.1 in the same area. Just 6 months after a major tremor in the same region killed more than 2,000 people. One person was pronounced dead and numerous others were wounded in the quake. One official said that no major damage had been reported across the country. A resident in southern peninsula in Haiti said the impact appeared to be minimal. Children ran out of school buildings in several areas, terrified by the earthquake. A cruise ship that was supposed to dock in Miami has instead sailed to the Bahamas after a U.S. judge granted an order to seize the vessel as part of a lawsuit over $4 million in unpaid fuel. Cruise trackers show Crystal Symphony currently docked in the Bahamian island of Bimini. Some passengers were taken by ferry to Fort Lauderdale on Sunday. The ferry ride was apparently uncomfortable due to inclement weather, according to a statement from a Crystal Cruises spokesperson. The company said guests were also taken to local airports but would not comment on the lawsuit. It was not immediately clear how many passengers were aboard, with one news outlet reporting 300 and another 700. According to the company's website, the vessel can carry up to 848 passengers. The ship was scheduled to arrive in Miami on Saturday, but the federal judge there issued an arrest warrant for the ship on Thursday, a maritime practice where a U.S. Marshal goes aboard a vessel and takes charge of it once it enters U.S. waters. Passengers and entertainers said on social media that they were surprised to find out about the legal case. And finally tonight, international news. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced today that his government will remove coronavirus testing requirements for vaccinated people arriving in England. News hailed by the travel industry as a big step back to normality. Johnson said that to show that his country is open for business, open for travelers, and it will see changes that people arriving no longer have to take tests if they have been vaccinated, if they have been double vaccinated, he said. A chief executive of the airline industry in the UK said nearly 2 years since the initial COVID restrictions were introduced, that the announcement today brings international travel towards near normality for the fully vaccinated, and at last into line with hospitality and the domestic economy. Currently, travelers who have had at least 2 vaccine doses must take a rapid COVID-19 test within 2 days of arriving in the UK. Those who are unvaccinated face stricter testing and quarantine rules. The government had already eased travel rules earlier this month, removing the need to take a test before traveling to Britain and replacing lab-confirmed post-arrival PCR tests with cheaper rapid lateral flow tests. Monday's announcement applies to England. The other parts of the UK, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland set their own public health policies, but have generally adopted the same rules as England. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley, reporting and encouraging you to stay safe.